This Wolf game, what is it all about? Everyone is talking about that. Have you ever been in a staking NFT project? Do you know anything about them? What is the difference between this project with the projects before this? This is the questions that I try to explain based on my experience in these kinds of projects and based on my knowledge about DeFi. When I say my knowledge, I'm not very knowledgeable about DeFi, but I have some experience in this field. So maybe I can explain this a little bit to you. And of course, I'm gonna introduce some of these projects. Actually, I don't like to introduce them, but I'm going to show you some of these projects. Maybe you can jump into them in their early stages so that you can make a good profit from them. Because these kinds of projects are good when you are in the early stage of them, when you enter them in the early stage of them, and you are among the first people that enter those projects. Other than that, I'm going to talk about some factors that might help those kinds of projects to be successful, the projects to be successful, and what is the common ground between the successful projects and those that lose their momentum and lose their sales, which is the most important thing in these kinds of projects, because actually in all the projects, but definitely in these kinds of projects are very important because they have to generate revenue if they want to exist, if they want to continue living. So let's start from the beginning. Actually, not the beginning, because I think the beginning was Axie Infinity, which is not exactly related to these kinds of projects. We're not going back those days. We are talking about the current projects, the projects that have grown and emerged in these previous weeks, or maybe 2 or 3 months, I think. We have different types of these kinds of projects. Some of them are based on DAO, some of them are based on fractionalized vault, and basically they purchase some blue chips and they fractionalize them and they put it in a vault. So we are going to talk about them. But before that, let's start from this concept that where all these staking and liquidity pool and all these things come from. Actually, all these things come from DeFi concepts. I'm not going to talk about all these things because it takes too time to talk about all these things, because we have farming, we have staking, we have liquidity pool. What I'm talking about here is that all these concepts that we are going to see in these kinds of play to earn games come from DeFi concepts. Anyway, enough all these things. Let's talk about these kinds of play to earn. These new ones that have emerged from, I think, 2 months or 3 months ago. A few months back, people start making these kinds of projects. I think the first one I got into and saw was Distomize, and after that some projects like Zombie Toads and Mutant Cats, and there are a lot of them. Let me show you some of these projects here. This is a good list of them, and you can see that this guy NFTZ boy had done a good job and created a good Excel sheet here. And as you can see here, there are lots of projects like them. Most of them I think have staking, and all of them have tokens. Some of them have staking, but the staking had some issues because of the ETH gas. You have to stake and unstake, and there are some role plays, for example breeding, that you need to unstake and then restake, and these kinds of unstaking and restaking take some gas. And as you know, Ethereum gas is very high and no one likes that. So some of them don't have any staking. Actually, you get paid the token based on just holding the NFT. So as you can see, there are lots of them here, and this list is related to before play to earn. I think, yes, I don't see any of these new play to earn games. The games that their popularity started from the Wolf game. And what happens then? We were in this stage that these kinds of projects are not good because people don't like to pay gas. Their revenue was decreasing. And I knew that because I had studied to some extent these kinds of projects, and I knew that you have to keep people in the game. You can't just go and make a vault and say, okay, we have a vault and we are going to pay you these kinds of tokens and this amount of token. Come here and buy our project. These kinds of projects got saturated after some time and people didn't like to invest in them. There are a few of them. I think one of them was Ether.org or something like that. I have to check them here. That project had or has a very good gameplay where people need to rate something or loot something or level up their NFT. These kinds of activities keep people in the loop. It makes that people start bearing the tokens, and it's because they want to level up, they want to breed, they want to gain some advantages over other. That's what most of those projects don't have. So you might say, what are you talking about? Well, let me explain some concept about this. There's a concept in this play called 3-3. What is 3-3? In a 3-3 game, you have to it's a kind of DeFi concept. I think first time I saw that in Olympus DAO. Well, the concept says if you can hit 3 of 3 goals that are related to this DeFi staking system, your project can be very profitable and it continues growing. So you have to manage your gameplay to incentivize people to stake and buy the token, which is bonding, and actually not dumping the token, not selling the token. So with these 3 things, you want to decrease the supply and consequently increase the demand. And when you do that, the price of NFT grows and the price of token grows as well, and everyone in the system at that moment can make a lot of profit. We can see this concept in Olympus DAO, and I think Time, and a lot of other projects. Most of them are on Avalanche blockchain, I think. Anyway, this is the concept that has borrowed from those kinds of projects. People making those kinds of concepts in their NFT projects, and there are several of them. This is not just one concept. Some of them have a vault, some of them have just liquidity pool, and you can stake just by holding the NFT. But in other cases, you have to stake your NFT, which is a downside here because of the ETH gas. You have to stake, you have to re-stake, and all these things take some gas on Ethereum blockchain. And as you know, the gas on Ethereum is very high. People don't like those kinds of things. So for now, those projects that you don't need to stake your NFT are more popular. But all these things are related to 2 months ago. It started from 2 months ago and related to the project emerged there. And this is a new concept that it's not new, but I think some devs of those projects, developer of those projects, made some mistakes on those projects and learned from those mistakes, and then came and made these kinds of projects. I think they found that what is the lack in these kinds of projects. I think they knew why people don't stake, why these kinds of projects fail soon after 2-3 weeks, and consequently they lose their revenues. It doesn't matter if you are talking about a DAO project or if you are talking about the project that is in the hands of the devs. I think most of them are DAO projects. But anyway, these kinds of project losses their momentum very soon. So what should we do? What is the missing thing here? When I bought these projects, I dug into some of these projects to figure out what is the missing point here. Why these kinds of projects lose their momentum very soon after a while, maybe 1 or 2 weeks. People lose their interest and the price of token and the NFT drop dramatically. What is the missing point here? I dug into some of them. I tried to find the similarity and I tried to find the differences between them and some factors like tokenomics and everything like that. Most of them are similar to each other. There are a little difference between them, but those things were not the things that made them fail, because the most successful ones were the ones that have some kind of gameplay in ecosystem. In other words, they keep people in the game. People do some stuff with their tokens. They don't sell their tokens. They try to advance their NFT and level up with some kind of game theory, with some kind of game story behind the whole idea. So they stay, they don't dump their tokens, they don't sell their NFTs. I think this is the most distinguished aspect between those that failed in the earliest stage and those that continue for a while, or some of them are doing very well now. But in general, these kinds of things were dying because there weren't a good game theory behind them. They couldn't make people do what they want to do and hit those 3 goals. People dumped their tokens, people didn't stake, and it showed that game theory is very important. Maybe the most important aspects of these kinds of 3 goals and strategies is the game theory behind the project. So these kinds of projects were dying until a few days ago, I think, when the Wolf game came. I saw that on Twitter on the account of one of these influencer, I think it was Beanie. He started promoting, and something else that is very important in these kinds of projects is promoting. You have to promote very well because you need to generate revenue in order to keep growing, keep building those DeFi concepts. For example, in terms of having a fractionalized vault, you need to generate revenue in order to buy blue chips and fractionalize them. So in order to keep the projects alive, you need to generate profit. And what is better than an influencer with lots of Twitter followers or YouTube followers that can start your project and keep pouring fuel in your project whenever your project is dying down. The influencer, especially these kinds of influencer like Beanie, when they go behind the project, the project is going to pump, even if some of those projects are pump and dump, but people still go behind these kinds of influencer, and these kinds of influencer can help the game theory behind these kinds of projects. So another very important thing about these projects is backing by a very good influencer. I think lots of people with lots of followers are behind these projects like Gary Vee, like Beanie. Anyway, we got to this point that these kinds of projects were dying until the Wolf game came out. They figure out the flaw and try to do the best to keep people in the loop. The Wolf game checks most boxes that is needed for these kinds of projects to be successful. The first one is incentivizing people to come to your projects by 2 things. One of them is by promoting, by engaging influencers, especially these kinds of influencer. And the second one is a very good, very high ROI. I think you get around 10K wool, which is, I think, let me check the price now. Okay, the price is around 11 cents, which is something like $1,000 for staking your ship. The last time that I checked, the price of ship was around 4 ETH, I think. Let me check again. And yes, it's 3.7, which is around something around 20K. So basically you can get your money back after 20 days or something like that, which is a very high ROI. So that's why people rush into these kinds of games. Anyway, the first one was staking, and people have done that as a result of high ROI. The next thing that devs had to manage was preventing people from dumping and selling the token. They've done that by making a utility for the token. Now, instead of selling the token and dumping in the market, you are incentivized to hold your token and use it for buying Farmer, which is another NFT in this ecosystem. See how they keep you in this game? Besides that, there is another mechanism in this ecosystem that prevents ship holder from selling their token. And what is that? Well, if you sell your token, aka wool, there is a 50% chance that all your tokens are stolen by Wolf. And what is Wolf, you might ask? Wolf is another NFT in this system. Wolves earn 20% aka tax when a shipholder wants to sell their tokens, their wolves. So again, you are incentivized to not selling your token and use it in the system. For example, buying another NFT in this ecosystem, which is farmer, and of course stay in the game. On the other hand, if some shipholders want to sell their tokens, which actually happens because there are always some people who want to sell their tokens, who want to swap their tokens for example, ETH, the price of wolves, the NFT, increases because they earn more from either stealing the tokens, all the tokens, or the 20% tax. Anyway, all this game theory keep people in the game and helps the system work and hits the 3 of 3 goals that we talked about early on. Anyway, with all that said, I don't think it's a good idea to buy this project at these kinds of prices. However, there are other games like this emerging. I don't know when this new concept dies down, but the key point for you, if you want to make some profit, some quick profit, is to enter these kinds of games early. So if you're early enough, you can make some quick bucks. But if you get stuck in the later stage of these kinds of games, you're just holding someone else's bag, and this is not something that you like. So do not enter these kinds of games when they are too high. This game, I think I saw this game a few days ago. When I saw this game, it was around, this NFT, it was around 0.2, and now it's 3.7, which is something ridiculous. I don't know. This is a game theory. People like these kinds of stuff and the FOMO in these kinds of stuff, and that's why the price skyrockets. Anyway, Wolf game definitely hit the 3 of 3. And now let's see what other projects are there that are trying to emulate and copy this one. Actually, I searched and find a bunch of them. There are lots of games that are trying to be the next Wolf game, and I'm not sure if they can do that because these kinds of concepts in NFT dies down soon, and you have to be very fast if you want a piece of this. Anyway, let's see what other projects that we can find here. These are other projects similar to the Wolf game, and the first one is Shark game. This one is kind of new. I'm not sure about this one. Maybe this is a scam, I don't know. They don't even have Discord, but you can join their Discord when they make one. The next one is Cat Mouse. This one is somehow hype right now. There are some people behind this project. There are some, I can see some of these influencer following this Cat Mouse. So I guess they can be the next Wolf. And if you can manage to be in their earlier stage, you can make a good profit. The next one is, let's see the next one, Fish Game NFT. All of them are the same concept, the same method, everything is the same. New exciting P2E model. And this is the next one if you want to join. The next one, let's see the next one, Vampire Game. They literally say that this NFT is based on wolf.game or the Wolf game. So they are another P2E, so-called P2E. I'm not sure if we can call this P2E or play to earn. Anyway, as you can see, there are lots of them out there, and you can go and join their Discord and find if you want to take part in their NFT project. But make sure to do your due diligence because you might get stuck in something very bad. You might hold a very heavy bag. So you might want to enter as soon as possible and exit after the first hype. Is kind of like cash grabbing NFT. I don't know. Lots of these concepts are new and you don't know which one can be successful in the end. By the way, I'm not a financial advisor and this is not a financial advice. Do whatever you want to do. If you want to take part in these projects, it's your responsibility. It's not mine. it's all yours. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. Make sure to subscribe and smash the like button, and definitely hit the notification bell so you won't lose any videos. By the way, you can subscribe to my Twitter. You can find these kinds of calls there sooner. Anyway, that's it. See you in the next video.